Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 4th of April, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Big shout out to Scott and Diz and Martin and Veg and Scott and Don Donovan and Scott and Diz and Pete's Music and Saz and Gallifrey and Ren, Reagan Elite, Witchy Goth, Gallifrey and Ren again. We've got Sonic Shadow 191 in there as well. We've got Anne Phillips. And we've got Scott again. Listen, if you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, all you need to do is hit that juicy subscribe button and join them in the chat. But don't be a troll or we will just destroy you. Well, we won't. We'll just mute you. But you'll be able to watch, but you won't be able to comment. So don't be a troll. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the market meltdown yesterday. $2.5 trillion wiped off the Wall Street stock exchanges. $2.5 trillion. Holy shit. So a million is a lot. A billion is even more. A trillion is an insane number. It is a million millions. Okay, if you start to try to count now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the time you get, it would be next year by the time you got to a million. That's how many a million is. A million is a lot. And then you're going to make a billion, which is 1,000 of them. That's an eye-watering amount of money. That's the kind of money that an entire country makes in a developing nation. And then a trillion? A trillion? You've got the output of 68 million people in this country, and the GDP is about 3.1 trillion, and 2.5 trillion was wiped off the stock exchange yesterday, just in America. The S&P 500 dropped 4.9% in a single day, the worst fall since COVID. The Dow Jones closed 3.8% down, shedding more than 1,800 points. Nasdaq plunged 5.8%, the sharpest decline since October 2008 during the financial crisis. Why did he do this? I've got my own theory. But this is the equivalent of erasing $2.5 trillion in a single day. If you stacked up those dollars, one on top of each other, it would reach a good way to the moon. I mean, that is a lot. That is an eye-watering amount of money. So I'll say this again. Britain, right? 6th biggest economy in the world, measured by GDP. Our GDP is around $3.1 trillion. 2.5 trillion wiped off the stock exchange yesterday. 2.5 trillion in market capitalization. That's the vast majority of the UK economy. And we're the 6th biggest economy in the world. By country. The Nikkei's also down in Japan. That's down 3.5%. The ASX in Australia is down 2.4%. The FTSE 100 in the UK has dropped. It dropped yesterday. It's even dropped again today as well. Before the I think they just only opened a few minutes ago. The Euro Stocks 50 fell 2.7%, and Brazil's Bovespa, never heard of it, but that's down 2.9%. This is now being described by multiple analysts as the potential trigger of a global recession. We got a super chat from SG. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the super chat, SG. First one of the day. Trump has put a thoroughbred horse's head, his own stock market, in every country's bed. Now we see who fights back and who caves in. Well, indeed. Has he made us an offer we can't refuse? He's going to make everyone really poor. Everyone around the world. Stellantis, who make Chrysler and Dodge, they have paused production in Mexico and Canada. And 900 US auto workers have been laid off with immediate effect. US car manufacturers warn of $10,000 increases to vehicle prices due to disrupted supply chains and the parts tariff. So even these cars that are made in America are going to go up in price. Why did Trump do this? Well, you've got the tariff formula. This bizarre formula that they have used. They typed into GDP. What's Chat GPT? Sorry. What's the best way to work out how much another country is ripping us off in terms of its economy? And because Chat GPT is an idiot, it is a modern architect with no sense of context. It said, well, what you want to do is you want to take a country's trade surplus with the US, divide it by that country's total exports to the US, and divide that number by 2 to get them a discounted tariff. For example, China had a 295 billion trade surplus on 438 billion of exports. So you divide 295 by 438, which comes to 0.67. So you turn that into 67%, and then you divide that by 2, round up, and you get yourself a 34% tariff. Japan ended up at 25 to 26%, and the UK, despite the fact that we do not have a trade surplus with the US, still got a 10% fee. 10% on all tariffs, which is a staggering amount, an absolutely staggering amount. It makes no sense. It does not account for actual tariffs or barriers that the US faces, penalizes countries for running surpluses, but not for protectionism, and it punishes allies and trade partners indiscriminately. So even countries where there was a trade surplus with the US, and the US, we're buying more stuff from the US than they are selling us. Even countries that were running a surplus rather than a deficit got a 10% flat fee, including the herd of McDonald Islands, which have no humans living on them. Just penguins in ice. Diego Garcia, the British Indian overseas territory of the Chagos Islands, they got given a tariff rate as well, even though the only people who live there are pretty much American military personnel who work on the Diego Garcia base. Trump described Trump's board described this as a tariffs charged to the US. This is what he said on his thing that he held up. Its board said tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers, but the formula only used trade surpluses, nothing else. Trump said these are reciprocal tariffs, finally fair trade, and do you know what? His dickheads, the brain dead fucking sister fucking morons who voted for this fucking dickhead, they're gonna believe it. You've seen them being interviewed going, yeah, no, it's all right. I don't mind being poor. I don't mind having to gobble off strangers in the park for bread because at the end of the day, I own the lib. We own the libs. Yeah, hey, short-term pain for long-term gain. Who said that? Liz Truss? Was that Liz Truss? The lettuce? Is Donald Trump going to win the Golden Lettuce Award? No, he's not. Because unlike in our British parliamentary democracy, there's no way of getting rid of an American president. Well, there is. Okay, there's a Luigi there's a Luigi way. There's the John Wilkes Booth way. Right, that's one way. Right, but that's not legal, obviously, and we would never countenance that. But the other way of getting rid of him is by invoking the 25th Amendment, which is if the cabinet of the president decides to turn against him. Like, you do realise that they have picked out, like, the slow class. Like, these are the kids from the really, really, like, they've gone to a really posh school. They're all dead rich, nepo babies, but they're in the sort of remedial class, as they call it, where they need special attention because the putting 2 and 2 together is a little bit beyond their comprehension. No fault of theirs, I guess, but they're not the brightest. They don't have all their sandwiches and their picnic. Do you know what I mean? Are they going to turn against Trump? Are they fuck? But let's pretend they do. We're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. We're saying he's not fit and capable to hold office because he's mad. Okay. Well, what happens then? Well, if the president doesn't want to go along with it, the president takes it to Congress. And here you go. You need a 2/3 majority, not just in the Senate that you need to impeach, but also in the House of Representatives. And they have to agree with the cabinet. Not going to happen, baby. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Shut up. It's not going to happen. And we can impeach him. Okay. The only way that they can impeach Trump is if you get a simple majority in the House of Representatives, which is doable after the midterms. Hold on with me on that for a moment. But then it'll go to the Senate, where they have to get 60 out of the 100 to vote to convict. That's not going to happen. But also what's not going to happen is that they're not going to have midterms in America. Why do they keep going on about the midterms? Oh, we're going to take them out in the midterms. No, you're not. You're just not. America, hello, you're not going to get midterms. He's not going to let you have them. And America is now caught in a catch-22 situation. What does it do? Does it protest? Does America doth protest too much? Well, it can. It can protest. I'm sure it can. Yeah. But I think that's going to lead to Trump declaring martial law and then stopping any more elections ever. Because a big cause for celebration this week that dickhead Elon Musk, the nepo baby, smooth-brained motherfucker, he decided that he was going to try and interfere in a race for the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. It's just like the randomest thing ever. Anyway, this Supreme Court race ended up generating more money, or people spending more money on this court, on this race for than ever before. And when I talk about democracy not being perfect, right? And I think there's an overabundance of democracy in America, of flawed democracy in America, where you elect judges. And then, no. Judges should be appointed on merit for being a good fucking judge, not for having the richest mates who can pay for a election campaign. They elect judges, they elect police chiefs, they elect the person who sorts out the bins, in some places they elect coroners. Like the people who decide why people died. And this is no joke. They can be completely unqualified medically. Doesn't matter. Just be Joe Bloggs, who's a mate of the sheriff and a mate of the corrupt judge. And then they can get in as coroner. And then the corrupt judge and the sheriff can go around killing all the people they want. And then they'll say, oh yeah, natural causes. They chop their own head off. Because they're a coroner, and that's what they can do, and they can sign it off, and that happens in dozens of states around America. You think I'm making this up because it sounds too mad, but that's what it is. Now, look, all things being equal, you'll think, well, obviously people will vote for the best person for the job, but they don't, do they? Especially in America, where it is not a free and fair democracy. It is a democracy since the Citizens United ruling by the Supreme Court a few years ago. The amount of money being put into politics now in America is eye-watering. And yet, this horrible little smooth-brained nepo baby fuckwit, Elon Musk. Elon, I'm going to do my little jump. Yeah. Fucking hell. He's there, and he gives $25 million. $25 million to this race. And he lost. He lost by a fuckload. He lost by double digits. Or his candidate lost by double digits. Which is fucking great. But it also shows that Trump can't allow elections like that to go on anymore. Because even though he's got all the money and all the backing and all the power and all, the media companies fawning over him and the social media companies fawning over him and the big tech companies fawning over him, even though he's got all that, right? Doesn't matter. He still can't win elections. He knows it. He saw it down in Florida last week or earlier this week, where the two Florida senators who, not senators, I think they were representatives, down in Florida, there were two special elections, which are like their by-elections, right? And these are in ruby red areas of a ruby red state, which is Florida these days. And both of them had their leads cut by half. The lead that Donald Trump got in November was cut in half. So they were 30% up. They were now 15% up. So any Republican candidate anymore, he's going to declare a state. Oh, I just lost my feed. What happened then? Sorry about that. Hello. He just lost his. He's going to stop. He's going to stop elections going ahead. This is what he's going to do. Okay, before I get back into my Putin theory, I will shout out to Leonora, who says GM modification definitely dodgy. Colin Baker said, let's not pretend to get rid of PMs. We didn't get rid of Cameron, May, Johnson, or Truss. We did. No, Colin, no, we did. We I mean, not personally, but there was a mechanism for getting rid of the fuckers Whereas in America, there is no mechanism for getting rid of a mad president that actually works when the president is someone like Trump. There's nothing. Seriously, he's not going anywhere unless it's in the box. Just to go back to Leonova's thing, GM modification. Don't forget, we've been genetically modifying dogs for thousands of years. That's why the Asiatic grey wolf looks nothing like a Chihuahua, even though they are the same. Genetically, technically, they're the same fucking animal. They're the same species. They can fucking reproduce. Viable offspring, which is what a species is. So anyone who could like do stuff within their own species and produce viable offspring, generally seen as the same species of animal. That's where you differentiate, because that's why you can't have. When you say viable offspring, every mule in the world is sterile. They can't breed because they're a horse and a donkey. We've been doing it with vegetables and fruits for thousands of years. Do you think the Cavendish banana looked like that in the wild? No. Do you think Brussels sprouts are natural? They're fucking not. They're from the wild cabbage family. Of course they're not natural. They're fucking Brussels sprouts. We've been dicking around with genetics for a very, very long time. Even before we knew what the fuck we were doing. We just bred dogs with their fathers and their mothers and their sisters and their brothers until we got this little freak show of an animal. Like, imagine this little bastard chihuahua or a pug with the fucking eyes out here, up in doggy heaven, because all dogs go to heaven, because all dogs are good boys, except for the girls, who are good girls. And then there's the grandmother wolf, the wolf mother of all dogs, up in the sky. And she's just like, what the fuck did those humans do to you? What the hell is this? What are they? Anyway, so that's my take on genetic modification. Anyway, well, it's flown by quickly, says Martin Harrow, who's been a member for 3 months. Well done, Martin Harrow. You can have a welcome members. Welcome members. You're not a new member, but I need to redo that, don't I? So it says other things. LOL, Graham, says Danny. I don't know what the funny thing I said was. But I'm glad I'm making you laugh. I saw the trailer for the new Naked Gun movie, and I've got to say, first bit didn't make me laugh at all. There's a joke at the end of the trailer of the new Naked Gun film, and yes, it made me laugh. It made me lol. It made me lol, and I went, oh, okay, then I might give this. I might give it a go. Liam Neeson is playing the role of Frank Drebin Jr. Well worth checking out, I think. Check out the trailer. I don't know if you want to come and see the movie. It's not out yet. This is already happening, says SG. In Texas, the Republican governor is not holding a special election, which is required following the death of a Democrat congressman. Told you so. Anne Phillips, watching a grooming video yesterday, she said that Persian cats' faces are now so smushed in, they can't groom themselves. What's the good of that? Well, yes, King Charles Spaniel dogs, the actual brain is bigger than their brain cage, their skull. And it causes in many, many purebred King Charles Spaniels effectively epilepsy and migraines like you would not believe. And dogs are very stoic animals. I mean, dogs are fucking great. I love dogs. But, like, what we do to them is fucking wrong. Bulldogs, like purebred bulldogs, now look nothing like the bulldogs of the Victorian era. Their faces got squished up so much that many of them have difficulty breathing. Like, we have created these little freak shows because, I don't know, we want to control everything. I don't know. Humans are just like that. I don't know. You just look at a beautiful animal and go, hey, well, we can either kill this thing for no good reason, or we can breed it so it looks like a fucking freak. And people get this really ugly dog and they're like, oh, I love him. And it licks their face. And you're like, you do know dogs put their face in dog shit and vomit and like all kinds of stuff. Why are you letting this dog lick your face? And they're like, oh, but it's full of antibiotics. And I'm like, no, it's not. What the fuck? Yeah. Anyway, but I like dogs. I used to have a dog of my own. Just think that, if you're going to have a dog, get a mongrel. Get a good mix. They last longer. Honestly, these pedigree dogs. First of all, the people who breed pedigree dogs. I mean, not all pedigree dog owners, but breeders. Hashtag not all breeders. Not all of them, but a lot of them are fucking unscrupulous motherfuckers. And they will kill. So you got a Rhodesian ridgeback, right? So a Rhodesian, it's basically scoliosis of the dog that creates the ridge on the Rhodesian ridgeback. And they will kill the puppies that don't have the ridge. They kill puppies. And there's nothing the law can do about it. Oh my God, I could go on about this all day. It really fucks me off what we do to animals. It's very, very upsetting. And some of the people who are like claim to be the biggest animal lovers are the people who facilitate this whole nightmare of genetic manipulation and torture and incest in the animal world that's, you know, forced on them by these unscrupulous breeders. There needs to be laws, there needs to be, you know, that need to be upheld, and we need to bring back dog licenses. Slightly getting off topic here, but fucking hell, please, can we bring back dog licenses? You need a license to go fishing, you need a license to own a TV. People get dogs, people buy dogs to torture them, because some people are sick fucks. And I know the vast majority of dog owners are great and look after their animals. But like, seriously, if you treat your animal badly, that's it. You cannot have another dog again. That is it. End of. You need a license to get one. And if you haven't got a license and you have a dog, then you go to fucking jail. I'm not having it. I'm just not having it. Anyway, right. The dog's welfare comes first as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a fuck. People go, oh, but I loved them. Anyway, right. Come on. Back on to the Trump tariffs. Lies and gaslighting. These are reciprocal tariffs. Finally, fair trade, said Trump. This is a lie. The tariffs are not reciprocal. They don't match what countries charge the US. Trump claimed that the EU charges 20% on US imports. The average is around 2.8%, according to the World Trade Organization. Anyone who's ever drank a can of Coke knows you're not paying a premium on that just because it comes from America. It's the same price as the British drinks. There might be a sugar tax on it, but the British drinks get that as well. He said that China's tariff rate. Cut that. Editor. China's tariff rate. He said it was 68%. 68%. It's around 7.5% on average. I mean, this will bring down prices, he said. Make America rich again and rebuild our factory. Prices are expected to go up. Inflationary shock is already predicted by the IMF and the World Bank, and factories are already closing down and mothballing. He said this is a negotiation tactic, and then his own trade advisor says it's not a negotiation. Fox News confirmed this. And here's my theory, right? I'm thinking that Trump is doing this for one reason and one reason alone. And it's not just that he's thick as pigshit and he's an evil motherfucker and he's a sociopath and he's dreadful. He's a dreadful human being. He is a dreadful human being. But I think he's doing it because Putin benefits from global economic destabilization. It's no surprise that after having conversations with Putin, you know, a few days later, he then says, I'm going to crash all the Western markets in the world. It crashes the Western markets. It helps Russia's resource-based economy thrive. It distracts NATO and allies with international financial turmoil. I'm very sure that Putin over the years has invested heavily in gold, which is what a lot of investors go to in times like this. They all invest in gold because it's a more stable commodity, or it's seen as more stable commodity. So I can see Putin buying that gold when the price was pretty low and sitting on it for many, many years. And now he's like, okay, cool, we're rich again. It also distracts NATO and allies with internal financial turmoil. It makes the US appear unreliable, encouraging countries to pivot to China or Russia for economic leadership. And it weakens Europe's ability to back Ukraine militarily and economically. This all works into Putin's favor. So any of these fuckwits who voted for Trump were really voting to, what can I say? Trump has done this before. He's withdrawn from global agreements like the Paris Climate Accord, and he's withdrawn from the International Criminal Court. He's withdrawn. Oh no, he didn't withdraw from that. He withdrew for the World Health Organization. They were already withdrawn for the International Criminal Court because America's got no interest in international justice. And he spread Russian disinformation narratives. He's done it. Now, anyone could argue with me in the chat. I don't mind. You can argue with the chat. Love your dogs, Graham. Yes, I love my dog, Sass. Storm, but that's not how you spell Graham. You can see how you spell it. It's written here. Starmer sucking up to Trump is a bit alarming for a trade deal, as it can harm trade with the EU. Yes, and what about Northern Ireland? Might not get into that later. I'd love a dog, but I would consider only a rescue or mongrel. No fashion dogs for us. We like variety. Just need to convince my other half to have one. You do have to pick up its poo. You see, that's the thing you don't have to do with cats. You don't have to pick up cat's poo. Just saying. In most places in the US, you have to have a license. In Louisville, it's £50 a year if the dog has been fixed, and $250 a year if not. Yeah, you should have a dog license. There should be dog licenses. We used to have dog licenses when I was a kid. We don't have them anymore. It's like white dog shit on the streets. You just don't see it anymore. I love dogs, but have guinea pigs. Oh, guinea pigs are so cute. World hurts us, so we hurt them using Trump. Cats do have to be microchipped by law in these days in the UK, but I doubt that's enforced in any meaningful sense. There's an interview on Oprah where Trump said he would tariff the year 30 odd years. Tariff the year 30 odd years. Sorry, Francis, I don't quite follow that. Leonora says, Gemma, best dog ever, followed my sister onto the school bus. Mum took her to the police station. It was likely she would be put down. We took her home and she was the best Heinz variety dog ever. Yeah. All dogs are good dogs. All dogs, and it's not their fault. It's really not their fault, unless they're, bred to be fucking monsters who kill children. But that's another story entirely. Scott says, ooh, stream glitching. I love the way Scott says, ooh, stream glitching. Like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm just like, fuck you all. I'm going to glitch you. I have no idea. I've just paid for extra super fast broadband. It shouldn't happen anymore, but, Tim Nat says, just watched the Naked Gun trailer. I liked it, yeah. That joke at the end, come on. That was a good one. Graham, you keep cutting off. You're saying too much about Putin. Fuck. I'm sorry that it keeps cutting off. I don't know why. I'm having a look at my setup here. The only thing I think of is the CPU usage is quite high. It's at 34%, 35%. I don't know why it's so high, but what I'll do is I'll just knock that off there, and maybe that will bring down the CPU usage. No, it's just using shitloads of CPU. Graham loved your dog on Ginger. Oh, sad, yeah. Campesino, best dog ever. Well, I mean, honestly, when I was on the island, my dog Campesino was a fucking genius. Not only if I needed something doing, he just knew, but also if any of my chickens got out from their chicken area, right? Because they can fly a little bit, so they'll fly over the fence, and I'll say, get him, and Campesino would go. And he would chase down the chickens. I couldn't catch the chickens because they can move too fast. And he would lay his paws gently on top of them so they couldn't get away. He wouldn't harm them. He wouldn't bite them. He wouldn't attack them. He would just chase after them, put his paws on them, and then I'd pick up the chicken and put it back in the chicken pen. And just what a dog. What a dog. What a dog. The only thing is he really didn't like the water. He didn't like the water at all, which is odd for a dog that lives on an island. So it was a bit difficult. It could get quite stinky because obviously it's dead hot and it's quite muddy around the mangroves if you decide to go for a little walkies around the mangroves. But no, just absolutely fantastic dog. I don't have to pick up cat poo as my current cats live indoors. Eventually they have a catio. So they what is a catio? So they can go outside but won't roam. I don't even know what a catio is. I want to know. Tell me what a catio is. Hey, David says Starmer is really irritating me at the moment. The White House is bending the knee for Trump. I'm doing Starmer voice here. I'm begging for a trade deal. Everyone knows it will be one-sided. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Paula says you don't keep cutting off here. Oh, thanks, Paula. Yes, I'm working for Paula. Let me see. No, the CPU is still at 35%. I don't know. Right, let's go. Talk about the implications going forward of these Trump tariffs. Inflation. Economists are warning of a 5 to 7% inflationary spike in the US over the next 12 months. And this will come in the form of higher prices on cars, electronics, food, and medicine. Okay, here's something about medicine, right? So Trump has slapped a massive tariff on India, right? India being a poor country, not buying too many American goods because it's a poor country. This has penalized poor countries and it's penalized small countries. So somewhere like Switzerland has got like a 50% tariff slapped on it. The population of Switzerland is about 8 million or 8.8 million. So let's say 9 million. The population of America is 330 million. Like, how are they supposed to equate? Like, how are the Swiss supposed to buy as much stuff from America as America buys from. I mean, you because someone expect it's like it would be like 40 times more. Every Swiss person would have to buy 40 times more stuff from America than Americans have to buy from Switzerland in order to be no trade deficit for the Americans, in order for there to be a trade surplus. 40 times more. Like, I just... someone's going to write now. 37, actually, Graham. All right, whatever. All right, Mr. Calculator. And yeah, medicine is going to be a shocking one. So the tariffs on China. I'm just gonna look up. I'm just gonna look Trump tariff India, because I just want to know how much it is. Indian goods will face 27% tariff, right? Now, here's the thing. So many generic medicines that are off-patent medicines for American sufferers of diabetes and other chronic problems, people who need medicine every day of their lives to stay alive. So much of it comes from India. So everyone who is having to buy these drugs, which are horrifically expensive in America anyway, because of the way that the American healthcare system is set up, they're going to be slapped with, 30, maybe 40, maybe a 50% increase of the price of that medicine. There's no exception for medicine. There's no exception for the stuff that Americans need, millions of Americans need, to keep themselves and their families alive. No exemption. I bet Israel has no tariffs. Anyone know? I think they're under the 10%, aren't they? But they weren't mentioned. I don't think Israel was mentioned. I don't think was it? I don't know. We could check. Trump tariff. I know that Russia wasn't mentioned. Tellingly, Trump tariff Israel. It failed. It failed to win. A reprieve. Yeah, it's 17%. 17% tariff, despite saying that he would scrap the tariffs. Because he lies. He lies. He lies. Don't forget, he lies. There was going to be an interest rate cut in America. Now the Fed was expected to cut the interest rate twice in 2025. Now it's likely to pause or even raise rates if inflation spikes again, which it will do. And there's layoffs and recession risk in the US. Early estimate up to 1.2 million job losses globally if tariffs persist past 6 months. I think it's going to be much more than that. Sectors hardest are going to be auto, retail, logistics, agriculture, and tech. The investment collapse, like investors are pulling out of volatile US stocks. Uncertainty halts mergers, factory expansions, and tech investments, especially on which are particularly reliant on global supply chains. You think about tech and everything that's made. So your mobile phone has got components in it made in one country. It might be assembled in another. The raw materials in it might be, the coltan might come from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the lithium in the batteries might come from Botswana or Bolivia. Global supply chains, not great. £10 super chat from SG. Thank you very much, SG, for the super chat. Woo! I'm trying to encourage super chats this morning, can you tell? It's a Friday. So, Fab Friday, let your hair down. We've got loads of shows today for you. We've got Morning Brew. We've also got, which you're watching now, we've also got the agenda at 1 o'clock with me and Phil Morehouse. We'll be talking about the Trump's tariffs effects on the UK and what we should do about it. And maybe we'll talk a little bit how much it's frustrating that Starmer's being so cool-catted about this. But is that a good thing? Do we need to be more Mark Carney, or do we need to be more kind of like, Captain Cool, like the Fonz? The Fonz in Happy Days. The Fonz was cool. Do you remember the Fonz? He was cool. Do you know he used to hang out with these teenagers in the diner, in Al's diner, and he used to say, "Hey, join me in my office," and his office was the men's toilets. Great days. SG says India farmer, no tariffs for now, an exemption for the moment. Classic mafia shakedown. Trump said considering Indian farmer for the next round of tariffs. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was wrong. Oh, shit. I haven't got an I was wrong button. I need one that says I was right. And I'm going to get another one that says I was wrong. And if someone in the chat proves me wrong, I will press the button. I'll press the button on my little stream deck thing here, and instead of it saying either subscribe or super chat, it'll come up and it'll say I was wrong. Okay, and then I'll have a thing that puts like a hat on, like a little logo here that says I was wrong and I accept responsibility. I'll have to wear that hat for the rest of the day. But yes, there you go. Leonora, Gulf Mexico, Gulf Marine, ouch, that sounds very painful. Ouch. Ouch, sorry. Gulf Marine, penguins would negotiate the clothes off Vance. What Vance don't you own the tux? Well, at least the penguins have showed up, dressed properly for the negotiations. In the era Trump idolizers, we were using whale oil rather than refining crude. Indeed. Ishtar says Svalbard is part of Norway, but got a lower tariff. I wonder if a lot of Norwegian exports will inexplicably start taking the route across Svalbard. I don't think they know where Svalbard is. I don't think they know where the Heard and McDonald Islands are. I don't think they know where St. Pierre and Miquelon Islands are. I don't think they know where most of these places that I just listed on the CIA fact book. I don't think they could identify any of them on a map and say, yep, that's where it is. I can. Every fucking country in the world I can identify on a fucking map. Because I know what I'm talking about. These people in charge, they don't know fuck. They don't know shit. They don't know bollocks. They don't know any of this stuff. It's painful. It's fucking painful. It's painful watching idiots do things slowly. No. It's painful watching idiots do things wrong and slowly. Anyway. So yeah, the diplomatic fallout is going to be the EU, China, the UK as well. We're having a month-long consultation with businesses about what to do about it. Japan, Brazil, South Africa are already planning retaliation. The WTO rules are most likely to have been violated. I mean, definitely to be violated. The thing with this is, right, so the WTO puts rules on commodities. So if we are exporting, let's say, frozen beef, and we just and a country that we are exporting it to doesn't like us, so Argentina says, we don't want your frozen beef, you bastards. We're going to put an 800% tariff on your frozen beef. Your frozen BSE-riddled, mad cow disease, bloody foot and mouth disease beef. We don't want it. We don't want it here, right? If they put that 800% tariff on us for our beef, they have to put that 800% tariff on every other country that they don't have a specific trading agreement with over beef. Okay? So if there's any beef coming from Japan, Kobe beef, what was it called? Kobe beef? I've forgotten what it's called now. That fancy beef from Japan. I don't think I've ever had. It would be 800% on that. American beef, Australian beef, it will be 800%. Now, Brazilian beef, they could have 0% on Brazilian beef because they're both part of Mercosur, and therefore they, can trade things more freely. I don't know if they're part of Mercosur anymore. Sorry, they might not be, because Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, is a fucking crook and an idiot and a lunatic and a libertarian. He calls himself an anarcho-capitalist. But yeah, fact remains that this is in clear violation of the WTO, because you're not supposed to favor one nation over another. You're not supposed to give different trade rates for different commodities to different countries. You've got to have the same. You've got to give the same rate to every country. That if you're part of the WTO, which America is. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. You get a little super chat animation. The EU plus UK need to retaliate against the Trumpists. Yes. And one of the things I think we need to do, and we'll talk about this, I think, with Phil at 1 o'clock a bit more. I really think that we need to start poaching Americans. Just fucking brain drain. Just say, you can all come over here. Get 1 million Americans to come to the UK. Highly educated, highly skilled, people with diplomas, people with university degrees, people with PhDs. Get them over. Entrepreneurs and scientists and innovators, get them over here. I'm very sorry to the people who live in a swamp who voted for Trump, but you're going to have to stay there, mate. You're going to have to enjoy your fucking swamp. I'm sure they will do, because they're all fucking sadomasochists who voted for Trump. They're all like, yeah, I'm poor now. You always were. I'm even poorer now, but, we own the libs. But that's what I'll be doing right now. I will be making a concerted effort to just get everyone out. 3 history professors from Yale have run away to Canada. They've eloped to Canada. They've legged it. They've exiled themselves. These are history professors from Yale University. Now, why would 3 history professors leave one of the most prestigious universities in the world because they're history professors. Think about that for a moment. Think about it. Okay, so allies are questioning whether we can rely on America anymore. The answer is no. We're also there's increased talks of pivoting to China as a major trading partner, and there might be some political fallout of this. There's senators like Chuck Grassley who are proposing legislation to limit Trump's power over tariffs, but is it going to happen? I don't think it's going to get through. Trump is still popular with his base, but independents and swing voters may likely revolt if inflation kicks off again, retirement savings are hit, and a recession arrives. But again, they're all fucking sadomasochists. They don't give a fuck about their own personal well-being or the well-being of their loved ones or their children. They don't want to write a nice rosy future for their children. They want their children to suffer and die early, I think, because they hate their children because, I don't know, they hate young people in general for being woke, for being young, for having dreams and aspirations and the whole life ahead of them. I don't know why they hate them, but I don't think there's any level that they get to. And this idea that they're going to introduce legislation to pull back Trump's power on the tariffs, there's a bit of a drawback in that. It's a hell of a catch. It's a catch-22 situation. It's the best there is. So in order to stop Trump from doing what he likes with tariffs, they have to get a signature off the guy whose power they're trying to curtail. So they have to get him to sign the bill into law. That says they're going to curtail his power. So he has to use his power, his executive power, to sign a bill to make it become law. That says he's going to curtail his power. It's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen. Oh, we've got more super chats coming. Oh, and I've got a big one from Ivan. Hey, Maggie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. But Reform Plus gammon voters don't want US immigrants. That is, that's true, but I don't give a fuck. They don't want any immigrants. Reform and gammon voters can fuck the fuck off because they're just as deluded as MAGA voters. They think that the rich are going to come and save them. The rich are going to, use their largesse to help everyone. They're just going to go down the street like the Joker in Batman 1989 and just go, money, 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 money. A present from the invisible man. What do you love? Money, money, money. Who do you love? Me, me, me. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The rich are just going to keep on screwing us forever. The rich are literally the worst. Ivan, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. That's very, very kind of you. With major world events like COVID and now this, the mental health implications are being ignored. It was ignored by the last government in COVID, and now it's being ignored with this current government. I don't know if Labour are doing more for mental health than the Tories did. I assume that they are. All I can say is under the Tories, I was waiting to get an assessment for ADHD for months and months and months, and then under Labour, I got one. I'm finding it easier to see my GP now. I'm finding it easier to get an appointment at hospitals. My friends and family who have been waiting on the waiting list for a very, very long time, they've actually been seen in the last few months. So I don't know. I would like them to do more, clearly, and we should be talking about this more because you're right, the mental health of people is suffering because of all the shit. And we've been talking for a while about how millennials are not having a midlife crisis because we've just reeled from crisis to crisis all our lives. Yeah, since 9/11. 9/11, that was the ground zero, excuse the pun, of all of it. You had 9/11, then you had the shock of Afghanistan, Iraq, the global credit crunch, then we had austerity, then we had Brexit, then we had Trump at the same time, then we had COVID. So we had Brexit, Trump, and COVID, and fucking Boris Johnson all at the same time. Jesus Christ. And then we had Truss. And now we got this. Trump got back in. Trump won the fucking election. The Democrats let him win the election. They didn't put him in jail when they had the chance. Fucking dickheads. Right. Then David Bowie died. Yeah, it's all been downhill from there. January 2016. Right, so I'm going to head over to the papers for a moment, just to say hello, see what the papers are saying. We've got the Daily Tory graph here. The village where Kelsey Grammer is enemy number one. He's a Trump voter, so good. Grand National Sweepstake kit inside. Okay. And there's a picture of He's got a Tory face. Look at that Tory face. Race goers enjoyed the first day of the Grand National entry in Liverpool yesterday. Today marks the festival's Ladies' Day celebration, when the best dressed punters will be crowned along with the most sustainably dressed before the Grand National race gets underway at 4 p.m. tomorrow. We could have a chat about the efficacy, whether it's ethical, whether it's ethical to be racing horses in races where they die. I say no. I don't mind racing horses, but in races where they die, I think there should be all things put in place to make sure that the horses don't die. That's it. End of. That's a proper Tory face this fella's got, isn't it? That's a proper Tory face. He's probably not. He's probably a Scouser. Britain must copy Singapore, says Hunt. Why are we asking Hunt? Why are we asking Jeremy Hunt about anything? He's not in power. He's not in an election. It's just some random backbencher. Some random Tory backbencher says, use post-Brexit freedom to fight Trump tariffs and reshape economy, Tom told. God, is this again? So Keir Starmer must embrace Brexit freedoms to turn Britain into Singapore on Thames. No. Singapore works as Singapore for a few different reasons. Let's talk about Singapore for a moment. First of all, it's a benevolent dictatorship. But it is a dictatorship. They don't really have elections there, right? Secondly, it's a really fucking small country. It's an island, a tiny fucking island. It's about the size of the fucking Isle of Wight. It's fucking tiny. And so it's very easy to control everything in a tiny space like that. Because you can. Because it's manageable. It's not a big fuck-off country like Britain. You know? And the idea that London is going to become Singapore on Thames is laughable. Because it's just not the way the world works. The reason why Singapore has so much fucking money and money rolling in, which is something that the Tories don't understand because they've never got a map out and fucking looked at it and fucking examined it and fucking understood where things are and why things are. The reason why Singapore is so fucking rich is because every fucking ship that goes from Europe to China, or from India to China, or from Africa to China, or from the Middle East to China will stop at Singapore. It will stop at Singapore. And it will unload some things and they'll be put on another boat going somewhere else. It is a shipping hub like you will not believe. You go to Singapore, you've got to climb up one of the really tall buildings like King Kong on the outside, as you meant to, as God intended. And you get to the top and you're holding a woman in your hand and have a look out, right? From the top of the building, have a look out over the water. There are hundreds of ships at anchor. Hundreds of, sometimes when you go out to the Durham coast or somewhere where you go to Formby Beach and you see like one or two ships on the horizon. Yeah, imagine that, but there's hundreds of them. Hundreds. And it's because of the strategic geographical position. And not just everything going to China. Everything going to and from South Korea. Everything going to or from Taiwan. Everything going to or from Japan. Like, there's so much trade that stops there, and anything coming to or from Australia even will stop in Singapore, generally speaking. Unless it's coming from the West Coast. Then it might just go straight across. I don't know. But if it's coming from Melbourne, if it's coming from Sydney, if it's coming from Brisbane, yeah, we'll stop in fucking Singapore. Why wouldn't they? I'll drop a few boxes off, pick up a few boxes, off it goes. Standard. Fucking standard. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona again. Thank you. Lots of 20 Swedish kronas coming from Maggie Pie this morning. Very kind of you. Tory MPs have similar facial features. Inbreed. Full stop. Inbreeding? Question mark. It's my Tory face. It's how they all laugh. They all laugh like they're coughing up fucking phlegm. Anyway, right, back to the papers. Harry, it's all lies, says the Metro. It's all lies, says Harry, and they've got a picture on. I really wish he'll shave his head. Do you know what I mean? He's a ginge who's lost his hair here. And so have I. I've lost my hair there. And I just shave it. Do you know what I mean? Because it looks better than trying to have a few little straggly bits of hair. You look like a Brillo pad. Screw that. Just embrace it. Embrace it, Harry, you know? You had a good time. You had a good innings with your ginger hair. I did as well. But now it's over, you know? You grow old. It falls out. What can we say? Paddy Power, I'm advertising. So there you go. And Donald Slump. There you go. Trillions wiped off US market as tariff war sparks slow down fear. And they've got this. I think they've got the same chart that I used in the background of Trump on my picture this morning. But yeah, Donald Slump. There he is. Absolute gobshite. And then we'll move down here to Meltdown. Also, look at this. FTSE 100 down. DAX down. Nikkei 225 down. Oil price down. Meltdown. Global stock markets plunged £2 trillion as Trump's tariffs cause calamity for investments and pensions. And this guy's, look at him. Look at him. He's like this. He's trying to gouge his own eyes out because he's seen a picture of Trump and Putin getting it on. Stock markets took a £2 trillion hit yesterday after Donald Trump pushed the world to the brink of a full-scale trade war. So, yeah. What happened last time? What happened last time America brought tariffs in on the world? It caused a global recession. It caused the Great Depression in America, or exacerbated it very, very badly, which led to the Nazis getting in charge in the Weimar taking over the Weimar Republic in Germany, one of the most progressive republics in the world at the time, and turning it into the Nazi state. And how did that end up? That's one of the few sort of what do I call it? Like bright lights on the horizon. A little bit of a slither of silver. Careful how you spell that. On a cloud. And what it is that the fact that tyranny always falls. Tyranny always falls because people get too fucked off with it. And democracy has its ebbs and flows, and it goes a bit right wing, goes a bit left wing, goes a bit centrist, whatever. But the foundation of fascism, the foundation of tyranny, is always based around the same fucking thing. A personality cult around a C unit. A cult around a... That's what it's always based on. And when that fucker dies, it's really hard to hold it together. Because the next person who comes along invariably doesn't have the same charisma. And you see this when, rich, ugly men like Elon Musk and Donald Trump will tend to marry women who are not going to have agency. They don't want a woman with agency. They don't want a woman who's smart and capable, because they'll find that intimidating and emasculating, because these guys are all fucking deep-seated misogynists. So the kind of woman that they will procreate with tend to be women who are, how can I put this, of below average intelligence. Okay, I'm not using the term blonde bimbos, but you know what I mean. Okay, and this isn't a diss to them. It's not their fault, but these rich twats who want to start a dynasty tend to go for that type of person. And therefore, their offspring, the next generation who's supposed to take over from them, has half the genes of someone who doesn't really know how to do this stuff. You might know how to do this stuff as a tyrannical billionaire fucking agent of chaos. It doesn't mean you're going to pass those genes on to your kids. I mean, maybe if you got with someone who had their own agency and was a kick-ass woman who knew what she wanted and knew how to get it, then maybe. But the odds are against you. Let's put it that way. In the genetic soup of life, the odds are against you, and this is why these tyrants always fall, because they tend not to go for women who will stand up to them. That they go for women who will go, okay, I'll marry you for your money, which is a bit shallow. But there you go. So that's my theory on it. That's my pop genetics theory about why dynasties never last. Trump says he's so bloody great for the economy, says Maggie Pie. He does indeed, which is hilarious. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Yeah, he's not bloody great for the economy. He's bloody awful. He is. He's bloody awful. Right, back over to the papers. There's an interview with Shaka Khan. Not to be mixed up with Chakademus and Pliers. Someone else. Wet Leg here. The Weird Dream just keeps going. I love Wet Leg. They're one of my favorite new bands of the last few years. They supported Pulp a couple of years ago when Pulp were playing live in Finsbury's Finbury. Is it Fin? Fucking hell, that park. That park in London. Finsbury Park? Yeah, it's Finsbury. Yeah, they're fucking boss. They're just really funny. They got the big D. Trump tariff turmoil wipes trillions of dollars off global stock markets. You see all those lines going down. Line go down, line go down, line go down. Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £10 super chat, my friend. That's very kind of you. Singapore still has caning. I'm not saying Jeremy Hunt wants that, but people need to know how horrific it is. It's a abhorrent practice is still being used in Singapore. Yes, it is. But not just the fact that people are flogged in the streets for crimes and you get fined for absolutely everything in Singapore. Singapore has the death penalty. And they have it for drug dealing. Even a small amount of drugs can get you the death penalty in Singapore. So yeah, pretty brutal place to live. You know, if you want to be a serf, if you want to just, keep your head down and do what you're told, great. That's the kind of place people want to live. Maybe you could move to Singapore. But I don't want my country turning into that. I want a country where I'm free to run down the street with stupid tattoos that make no sense, with wearing a hat that I'm allowed to wear, drinking water on the underground because I'm allowed to. That's fine. In Dubai, when I was there in Dubai in 2010, you weren't allowed to drink water on their trains. The hottest country in the world. It's like 40 fucking degrees. I was there in August. It was so hot. When you walked out of the air-conditioned building or stepped out of an air-conditioned vehicle, it was like opening the door to the oven so your glasses steam up, and it's like this big blast of hot air in your face. And then you climbed into the oven, and that was going outside. And you weren't allowed to have water. You weren't allowed to have any kind of drink. In Singapore, chewing gum is illegal. You get a fine if you're caught chewing gum. You get a fine if you're on the train and you put your feet up or just lean your head against the window or you have a drink. I mean, there's so many fines for so many things in Singapore. It is a very, very tightly run ship. Let's put it that way to be diplomatic. I wouldn't like to live there. And it's full of knobheads driving their fucking knobhead Lamborghinis way too fucking fast. So's Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates. They have the most horrific car accidents because you'll get literal nepo baby knobheads driving down the road at 200 miles an hour. Literally, like in these fucking souped up supercars that they're daddy's bought them. The Shakers bought them, and oh my god, like the amount of car accidents, the car fatalities in these places, proportionate to the population, is eye-watering. So they're like, oh no, you can't have a small amount of drugs. That might fuck you up, but we'll allow you to drive around at like 200 miles an hour. Well, they don't allow them, but they don't necessarily disencourage it either. Straight roads, big straight roads, like no traffic calming measures. The cars must not stop. What? The cars must not stop. Okay, but listen, if we put a traffic light system in, it'll only take up 2.2 acres of land. Whereas if we put a big fuck off road that goes round in a big circle to get yourself on the other side of the road, that's going to take up hundreds of acres of land, and then that land's going to be fucking redundant and you won't be able to use it for anything else. The cars must not stop. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay. All right. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. Another 20 Swedish krona. What's that? We got 80 Swedish krona so far from Maggie Pie. Thank you. Trump is a way more sexist Jabba the Hutt. Jabba see you next Tuesday. Indeed. Right, let's go back to the papers momentarily. Tariff turmoil wipes trillions of dollars off global stock market, screams The Guardian here. We've got survivor recounts Gaza paramedic killings. If you've read about this, it's absolutely horrific. What happened when there was a mass killing of Palestinian paramedics. Not bombers, Not people running around with rocket launchers and grenades and ammunition. Paramedics. And then family fury over IOPC Hillsborough findings. A 12-year investigation into the Hillsborough disaster by the police watchdog concluded no senior South Yorkshire police officers were guilty of misconduct for falsely blaming misbehaviour on Liverpool supporters. Because that's not misconduct for some reason. I don't know what the fuck misconduct is these days with the fucking police, but there you go. Britain threatens America with new Tesla tax as stock markets tumble. Fucking do it. Absolutely do it. UK considers retaliatory tariffs on electric cars, alcohol and clothes. Department for Business and Trade publishes 417-page list of more than 11,000 goods the US exports to Britain, which could be potentially targeted for higher levies in the Trump trade war. Starmer says no options are off the table. So that's giving us a little bit of hope. And it also gives me my title for the next show. Pullman Duff says rest in peace, paramedics of Palestine. Beyond words, yeah. Just and also can we note as I don't know whether to do these shows and actually have like a list of things that are happening in the news that I want to draw your attention to. I might start doing that soon because having one topic for the whole sort of hour, it feels like a little bit of overkill and I end up repeating myself a lot. So one of the things that you might not have noticed or you might have heard about in passing is that Benjamin Netanyahu went to Hungary yesterday, right? Now, he's not allowed to go to Hungary because Hungary is part of the International Criminal Court. So the ICC has put out a arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu, and what that means is that if he goes to any country that is signed up for the ICC, same with Putin, then they have an obligation to arrest him and send him off to The Hague for the war crimes that he has committed. Orban, the dictator of Hungary, didn't want to do that, and as a result, they pulled out of the International Criminal Court. They pulled out so that Netanyahu, who voted with the Americans and North Korea to not put sanctions, not even to have a UN resolution against Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It wasn't even something that particularly had teeth, but Netanyahu, Trump, Putin, and Kim Jong-un all came together to vote it down. And yeah, so there is talk in the EU of activating what I think is Article 7, which means that Hungary can stay in the EU, but it loses its voting rights, it loses its veto rights, and it stops holding the EU back because Orban is a Nazi. He has reconfigured Hungarian society to back him. And don't forget, boys and girls, Hungary was on the side of the Nazis in World War II. Hashtag just saying. Unlike the Poles, who definitely weren't. Anyway, Orban left the ICC. Yes, it is. I just said that. Is the US in the ICC? No, the US isn't. And the US hasn't been. I don't think it's ever been in the ICC. Not interested in international law. And then Crystal Ball says, yes, but Netanyahu and Orban are members of the ethno-nationalist bloc. And Big Marvinsky says, seriously, fucking hell. So, yeah, there is moves afoot, and I think that the Trump tariffs are going to accelerate that because obviously Orban is so far up Trump's backside, he can see the future. Okay, so back to the papers momentarily. I've got to wrap up the show soon because we're a few minutes over. And interest rates could fall faster to limit tariff damage in the UK, cutting mortgage costs, which would be good. Reeves may be forced to raise taxes or suspend fiscal rules as £9.9 billion headroom is wiped out. Think tank predicts a 2% hit to GDP from US tariffs, meaning a recession is likely next year. And Ian Dunt is in the paper there. I like Ian Dunt. He's good. He's a private school mafia, of course, because he's allowed to write things in newspapers. But he's usually on the ball. And he's put Trump's downfall begins now. One day I'll be able to write things in newspapers. Once the revolution comes and us staties all go, hang on, there's 93% of us who didn't go to private school. Maybe we should run things for a change. Giant vermin terror, rats as big as that was yesterday. That was literally wasn't that yesterday's cover? I'm sure I've already seen that. Rats as big as. Am I going mad in my old age? That's for the 4th of April. It says Thursday, April. No, it's Thursday, April 3rd. That's yesterday's. That'll be why. Why is it saying 4th? And this one, that was yesterday's paper as well. And this one is this is this one. New Lucy Letby medical evidence blows case out of water. Does it? Prince Harry responds as Charity Commission opens case on Centre Barley. Heartbreaking to witness such blatant lies. Heartbroken. Prince Harry hit out about blatant lies. And fun in the sun at glorious entry. Talk about whether that's ethical or not. And then the Financial Times, which is really what we should have started with. World reels from Trump trade shock. Stock shock. US markets hammered after tariff blow sends Europe and Asia tumbling. Stellantis plans furloughs as highest levies in century fuel recession fears. Beijing promises retaliation while US allies greet onslaught with dismay. And there you have the charts there. That's the Hang Seng, the FTSE 100, the Nikkei, the stocks, and the S&P 500. All down like crazy. And a beautiful war on America's pillagers. He accused us in the UK and the countries in the EU and around the world of raping and pillaging America. That's a bit rich coming from a fucking rapist. That's what Trump said. He called us rapists. When he is actually an adjudicated rapist. He claimed not to have raped a woman. She took him to court for lying, and the court found that he was lying because he had done it. Anyway, so yeah, that's the papers today, and all I can say is, look, this is gonna fuck world trade, the world economy. But more than anyone else, it's going to fuck America. Why is he doing this? And I'm going to tell you straight out now why he is destroying the Western order. Because Putin has told him to. And you might want to repeat that to any knobhead that you see online making some comments about making America great again. He's not making America great again. He's destroying America at the behest of Vladimir Putin. He is making Russia great again. That is it. No more, no less. Russia. Not America. Not the rest of the world. Just Russia. Because this man is in thrall to Vladimir Putin. What a time to be alive. Okay, so I'm gonna head off now. I'll be back at 1 o'clock. I'm going to do some painting. I'm going to do a bit of painting. So what my paint skivvies on. I'll be back at 1 o'clock with the agenda with Phil Morehouse. And then tonight, if you want to join us for the Friday night social, that starts at 9:30 tonight, drinking into the night. If you'd like to join us for that, you are very, very welcome to do so. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for everyone who joined in the chats. Thanks for everyone who dropped in a super chat. Really, really, really appreciate that. If I can ask for one little tiny favor before you go, could you possibly give us a like? Just a little like. Just hit the like now. Just do it. Just do it. Thank you. And if you want, just so you know, see the little rose next to Anne's name there? Nick and Diff has a rose. Martin Harrow has a rose. That means they're members of the channel. If you want to become a member of the channel and get a rose after your name, all you need to do is hit that little join button and you will get a... Well, you've got to pay, but it's only a couple of quid a month. So yeah, if you want to join that, please do. And you get a little rose after your name, which is really cool. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Until next time, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.